Hello and welcome to or welcome back to my channel. My name is Marin and here you will find a little beauty, a little books, and a little teaching content. So if that sounds like something you might enjoy, I would love for you to subscribe and stick around and join me in my little corner of YouTube. As you can see from the wheel behind me, it is time for another round of my Wheel of TBR, this time choosing my books for June. So let's go ahead and get into it. So I'm going to go ahead and start off by recapping how I've done so far in the month of May. For my May TBR, I am filming this quite a bit early. I still have like a week and a half left, so I have not finished my TBR, spoiler, but I do anticipate being able to get through the majority of it. So the first spin gave me 5-star prediction, and for that I chose Lovely War by Julie Berry, which I did read. My next spin gave me a book written by a BIPOC author, and for that I chose Between the World and Me by Ta-Nehisi Coates, which I also read. The next spin gave me a TBR Knockout book. The TBR Knockout is hosted by Melanie over at Completely Melanie, and the book I chose for that was Big Little Lies by Leanne Moriarty. I have not read this one yet, but I am hoping to at least start it before the end of the month. The next spin gave me a Book of the Month book, and for that I chose Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin, which I have pulled out of its dust jacket because I am currently reading it, so it is not finished, but I am planning on finishing it by the end of the month. And then the last prompt was Animal on the Cover, and for that I chose Whisper Down the Lane by Clay McLeod Chapman, which I did read and I actually vlogged. I'll link that up above if you would like to check it out. Okay, so before I get into my spins for June, I want to talk a little bit about what June is going to be in terms of like reading housekeeping. So I have some goals that I've set for myself for the month of June. That is because June is the midway point through the year, and I have some goals that I have not managed to accomplish as of yet. So I really want to try to make a dent in those during the month of June. The biggest goal is to read some books off of my 10 series to finish in 2023 list, because as of right now, I've only read 4 books off that list and I've only finished 1 series. So I need to get going on that. So that's what I'm hoping to use to fill the majority of the prompts that I land on for June, so we'll cross our fingers. I do have some other books that I need to read or would like to read. Calling them mandatory reads is a bit of a stretch because I don't consider reading to be mandatory, but these are books that I would like to get to in order to like stay up to date with challenges. And then I have some goals that I'd set for myself in my first quarter reading wrap up. Again, I'll link that up above, but I would like to go ahead and knock some of those out as well if I can. So I have a list right here. I will see what I can make work in terms of the spins, and then anything else that I have not managed to complete with the spins, I'll go ahead and let you know what I'm hoping to read for each of those. June is a free month for me. My last day of school is June 2nd. So I'm going to have quite a lot of time to read in June, and I really want to try to do as much reading as possible. So let's go ahead and get into the spins to get those crossed off, and then we'll talk about the other books I hope I can get to. So we did stop right here on this pink slice. The prompt that I put on at the end of April was Stars on the Cover, so that's where we are. Now we're gonna go ahead and do spin number 1. All right, and we have a book published between 2021 and 2020. I can definitely do that. It's probably going to be one of my series books. Let me see which one I want to pick. So I actually had lots and lots of books to pick from for this first prompt because almost every book on my series list was published between 01 and 2020, but the one I'm going to go with was published in 2019, and that is The Mysterious Benedict Society and the Riddle of Ages. This is written by Trenton Lee Stewart. It is the 4th book in the Mysterious Benedict Society series. This is a middle grade mystery series where this man, Nicholas Benedict, recruits these children and they go around solving problems and keeping evil at bay, basically. So I'm excited to get back into the world, see what new adventure these children are going to get up to, and probably also read the prequel in June, which will finish this series off. So stay tuned. We'll see if I get to that one. But this is the one I'm picking for my first prompt. All right, we're going to replace that one with a 4+ word title. And now we're going to go ahead and do spin number 2. All right, we have a classic, which is actually perfect because that's one of those goals I was talking about. So let me pull it out and we'll chat about it. This classic pick was quite timely because I was wanting to read this book in June anyway, and that is The Histories by Herodotus. This is basically the entire historical look at life in ancient Greece and the surrounding areas. This one is quite chunky. This is like over 700 pages. If you count the bibliography and things like that, it's 716. The story itself ends on page 682. So my goal is going to be to read a certain number of pages each day during the month of June because this is nonfiction. It is also a classic, hence why I chose it as a classic, but this will also fit for reading a nonfiction book this month as well. And I'm sure it's going to be a little bit dry in places, but I love anything to do with ancient Greece, so I've been looking forward to reading this one. I've been saving it for the summer when I've had a little bit more time on my hands, so this is the month we are going to do it. This will be my pick for classic. Okay, we're going to replace classic with a thriller. And now we're going to do spin number 3. Okay, this one is an unseasonal read. So we're currently in spring. It feels like summer, so I'm counting spring and summer as seasonal reads. So that means I need a book that gives me fall or winter vibes. So let me take a look. For unseasonal, I am basing this solely on the cover, so this could turn out to not be an unseasonal read, but it sure looks unseasonal to me right now, and that is Wayward by Amelia Hart. This was my book of the month pick for March of this year, which will cross off a goal to read one book of the month book each month. And if you can look at the cover, we have like mushrooms, a raven, we have some insects. So to me, this is screaming fall. Whether that's actually true or not remains to be seen, but this looks very fall-like to me, hence why I'm using it for my unseasonal read prompt. And hopefully this will actually be unseasonal, but I'm excited to read this one, looking forward to it, hoping that I love this because I have heard really good things. All right, we're going to replace unseasonal read with a book purchased in 2021. There are several. All right, spin number 4. Okay, now this is the same one that I already landed on, which means it's time to pull out my TBR jar. I have not had to do this in several months, but basically, instead of giving myself punishments or marking how many times I land on a certain pie slice, I've decided that if I land on that same space more than once in one round, I forfeit the prompt on the wheel and instead pull from my TBR jar. So let me see what we've got. This kind of throws a wrench into my reading plans, but it's all good. So here is my TBR jar. I updated this at the very beginning of the year, so I have not added anything to this or taken anything out. So it's possible I will pull out a prompt that I've already read. And if that's the case, I'll just re-pull. But all of these books were on my Goodreads Want to Read list as of December 31st, 2022. So we'll give it a shake and we'll see which one I get. Okay, we're gonna do this one. And it is The Family Upstairs. Is that Lisa Jewell? I'll put the cover right here. I feel like that's Lisa Jewell. If not, I'll fix it on the screen, but I'm pretty sure that's Lisa Jewell. I'm gonna have to get that one from the library. I do not own it, but at least it's a new genre, a thriller, so I'm intrigued. Okay, I do not need to replace that prompt because we had to forfeit it, so now we're gonna go on to spin number 5 and see what I get. Okay, and this one is a TBR vet. Definitely doable, fits into my reading plans, so let me tell you what we're gonna read. For TBR Vet, I am going to go with my pick for this month's buzzword. So the buzzword for June is to have the word other in the title. And for that, I'm picking a short story collection, The Poison Eaters and Other Stories by Holly Black. This one's nice and quick, a bunch of short stories. I believe they all have to do with Fae because this was when she was writing her Fae series, which started with Tithe. Here's the cover. I've had this for a super long time. Let's see when this was printed. This was published in 2010, so it's been hanging around for a while, y'all, and it's time to finally read it and cross it off my TBR and complete another buzzword. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and replace that one just so we're ready for July. We will do this one right here, which is a book written in first person POV. All right, so now let's go ahead and talk about the other books that I'm hoping to get to in June. The first one is the June pick for the Literally Dead Book Club. If you are not familiar, this is hosted by Kayla at Books and Lala. And the June pick is The Devotion of Suspect X by Kaigo Higashino. And this is a translated book from Japanese. We read a translated book last year in June as well. I really liked that one, so I'm curious to see what I think about this one. I will also need to read the 18th Nancy Drew book, which is The Mystery of the Moss-Covered Mansion by Carolyn Keene, because I have a goal to read one Nancy Drew each month. I am already crossing my classic and my nonfiction off by doing the histories by Herodotus. And then I need to do one more 23 and 2023 book. And for that one, I'm going to pick If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio, because that is on the list. Haven't read it yet. I believe it has LGBTQIA+ representation, I believe. And since June is Pride Month, figured why not go ahead and read it. I don't know how much of it importance that plays in the story itself, but I do know that there's rep in that book, and I do want to go ahead and give that one a go. So those are the books that I've got. Now, I have a whole ton of series books still that I need to read because I only managed to fit one of them on this list. So June will hopefully be a big reading month. I am hoping to make a dent in some series, at least read one book in like 3 or 4 series. That would be great. So stay tuned. I'm going to do some extensive vlogging in June since I have nothing else really on my plate to share with you. So hopefully I can share most of these reads throughout the month. But I'm gonna go ahead and show you what my owned TBR stack is looking like. So here it is. We have, again, Wayward, The Poison Eaters, The Mysterious Benedict Society and the Riddle of Ages, and the histories. I also have The Family Upstairs, which is by Lisa Jewell, and I will need to get that one from the library. And then everything else that I mentioned. They will also have to come from the library because these are the only 4 books from this list that I actually physically own. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave me a thumbs up. Consider subscribing to my channel if you would like to see more from me, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, everyone.